what this structure looks like 22 years later, or there is another mix-up going on here with this important photography. After comparing the Apollo 17 photograph and the Clementine mission photograph, I can state, and you can quote me, both of these photographs are identical except for the glow at the bottom of the crater. In the 1972 photo, there is an object present, where in the Clementine photo, there is this glow, which is also present in the many photos of Lobachevsky you will be shown. In researching these photos, I have come to the conclusion that we know nothing about any of the moon missions and whether or not any of the photographs are recent or taken in the past. Because of my trying to make a comparison of the original Apollo 17 photo by finding another photo of crater Geo to see if this fish-like object was a permanent fixture or something that was there for a moment, I have now come across this new mystery of the photography dealing with Lobachevsky and Geo. I don't know what to think anymore about this. One thing seems to have led to another, and now we have this issue about the structure in the Apollo 17 photograph. How could these two photographs be so identical to each other, supposedly taken 22 years apart? It was already an incredible find knowing the structure was built in 8 months, or so it seems. Now we have before us some kind of serious cover-up with this discrepancy between the newly found Apollo 17 photo and the Clementine photo from 22 years later. There seems to be something we just found out that tells us these images are way beyond us knowing when they were really taken. This is just another example of what I feel is one of the greatest stories ever denied the human public. Is this full-color photograph taken of Lobachevsky during the Apollo 11 mission, when we first landed on the moon, the match to the Apollo 17 photograph? There are huge discrepancies going on with the moon photographic archives that have been released to the public. There is no telling what is in the real photography of the moon, and unless we get there to see for ourselves, it seems we will never know the truth. I can only imagine what else they know, and what they have done to keep us dumbed down. You, the public, needs to understand that the moon is right there. It is perhaps like another planet. There are so many things and structures there, as you are going to see, that you need to take hold of yourselves and start questioning why we've been misled for all these years and who is behind this. The most important question is why.
I have no earthly idea why astronomers don't show it in all its glory.
So I spent at least 8 hours looking through each and every 70mm Hasselblad photo magazines from Apollo 4 to Apollo 17, searching for that elusive Geo photograph that would answer whether or not that fish-like object is a fixture of Geo, or in fact something else that was only there for the Apollo 17 photo. I looked for the fish-like object in the Clementine color photography, and it is nowhere to be seen. Such a large object, if it was a geological formation of some kind, would still be there, and because of its size, would be seen from high above as the structure that can be seen in the Lobachevsky crater. As with all things you seek out, you eventually hit pay dirt. And so here it is. I finally found the elusive crater Geo. So here it is, AS16-M-1318. And guess what? There is no fish-like object there. I found this in the Apollo 16 metric photography. This brings us to the moon craters that have mysterious-looking objects and structures within them. When you see this photography from the Clementine research, you can go to any NASA website and start comparing what you are about to see. In fact, I urge you to start looking at what has been published. You will soon find out, as I have, that many of the photographs that exist and are available for review are way different. The structures you're about to see are not in other photographs. This either means they have been removed or airbrushed out, or they were not yet constructed when the original photos were taken. These are the only two options that come to mind. These incredible crater anomalies are from the Clementine color photography taken in 1994. I would love to get my hands on the full color photography taken by China recently to compare with the Clementine photos. On the near side of the moon, there are interesting craters we found that have structures within them. This requires us to zoom out and see where we're going to go so you can get a perspective. We'll start with Aristarchus because it is the most prominent crater on the near side of the moon. When you look at this area from about 170 miles away, you can see a major portion of the near side of the moon. We move to the west to a crater known as Seleucus. Moving on Seleucus, we find this crater has some very interesting features. First of all, at the top of the rim of the crater can be seen what appear to be tower-like structures. There are other anomalies going on in this area, such as what appear to be large tubing on the right side of the crater. These are curved and seemingly stretching across the rim of the crater in that area. There are other craters that have these types of tubing along the rims. Continuing down the near side of the moon, we come to a very large crater called Marius, which is located at the center area. The striking features inside this crater appear to be that it has a dome over it, and inside are mounds that have a donut hole in their center. These mounds appear all over the surface of the moon, both the near and far side areas. There is this one anomaly close to this crater, and it seems to be something coming out of a cave. It's not shaped like a crater, and there's another one of these in this area. And I am not going to say they are flying, but you can be the judge of that. They are certainly anomalous objects on the moon. Going back to the crater, we move southward. Passing all these amazing, colorful, and very busy landscapes, we get to a very large crater which will be our focus crater for this region. It's called Gassendi, and it is situated atop Mare Humorum. At the bottom of Mare Humorum, I found these two very interesting craters that you can see have massive structures within them. This one crater called Vitello seems to have the dome portion broken, or it might have caved in. You can tell the glass-like dome portion is broken. A very interesting thing happened here to cause this damage, and we don't have a clue as to the historical record involved in this dome being damaged. The crater is 26 miles in diameter. Moving slightly away to the left, we come upon the crater Doppelmayr, which is 39 miles in diameter and almost a mile deep. There is no doubt this dome has an interior full of giant buildings and structures within the base of the crater. There appear to be some square buildings, and this tall structure has what appears to be the number 2 along its side. Again, you have to look at the sizes of these structures. They are massive. Moving to the right of the crater Vitello, I found this crater called Ramsden. There appears to be a glass or some kind of translucent dome over it. It protrudes upward. The sun is glistening off this area, and you can see some green areas within it. You can see some structures in there. When we zoom out a little further, you can plainly see this is in fact a dome-shaped structure. The crater is 15 miles in diameter and a little over a mile deep. Here we have a dome on the moon with some kind of environment going on that was built by somebody. In the last few minutes, I have shown you some very incredible and massive structures. What you're about to see next is what I consider one of the most incredible and mysterious structures I have ever seen on the moon. When I say this, you have to know it means a lot for this structure to surpass what we have just seen.
To give you an idea on how big some of these structures are on the moon compared to the structures here on Earth, let's begin with the tallest statues in the world. This is a comparison in sizes for you to learn. Christ the Redeemer that rests atop a mountain in Rio de Janeiro is 39.6 meters or 130 feet tall. Next is the Motherland Calls, located in Russia, which stands 91 meters or 298 feet tall from the tip of the sword to ground level. Then we have the Statue of Liberty, standing at 93 meters or 300 feet tall. The tallest statue of them all is the Spring Temple Buddha in China, standing at 153 meters or 503 feet tall. All of these architectural marvels were made by humans here on Earth. As an example of the time it took to make these statues, the Statue of Liberty took 21 years to be transformed from an idea to a copper and steel statue that graces New York's harbor. Let's revisit Aristarchus. It is 25 miles in diameter and has a depth of 12,000 feet or 2¼ miles. When you compare this crater to the surrounding structures, such as the one that resembles an eel with its mouth open, you have to realize that the structure is massive. It's about 1/3 of the size of Aristarchus. Who has the technology to build such a structure, and what does it mean? What is its purpose? The pyramids are wonders we can't explain. But here you have a statue that is massive. Because there is no data anywhere on any NASA website or journals about this statue, we don't have an accurate measurement as to its size, so we had to rely on good old-fashioned comparisons with known objects that we know its measurements. We took the aerial photo of both the statue and Aristarchus from about 170 miles above. We isolated the two areas in identical sized squares, then we put them side by side without manipulating their sizes. Next, we enlarged both squares by enhancing the brightness on the square with the statue. You can now